During a chilly evening, a light drizzle descended. The gas station's lights bathed the scene in their glow. Rain-soaked Los Angeles streets featuring Keanu Reeves. Renowned for his unassuming nature outside the spotlight, he stopped to replenish his. On the motorcycle, everything appeared ordinary, until he spied something that caught his attention and made him. A visibly pregnant young woman takes a break, completely drained from repeatedly moving back and forth between transporting weighty boxes and loading them into a vehicle. She scarcely had a fleeting moment to recover. Her gasp, what Keanu did subsequently left. All at the station were left speechless and utterly transformed that woman's day. You won't fathom the effect of his action. Prepare yourself for a tale that will surely bring warmth to your heart. Fills the heart with hope and anticipation before we carry on this narrative and inform us of its continuation. If you find yourself enjoying the view you're watching from, narratives such as this adhere to the route due to the fact that tomorrow we have another. A unique tale awaits you, set in the night of Los Angeles. Angeles maintained a composed demeanor, yet a hint of underlying tension was palpable. Gloom descends upon a tranquil street, illuminated only by gaslight. The station's red and blue neon lights flickered. Lights reflecting on the rain-slicked asphalt were subdued. For the majority, a persistent drizzle persisted. A simple place, yet extraordinary for Emily. That particular gas station signified. At 7 months pregnant, Emily relocated for survival. Driven by unwavering resolve, amidst the pumps, cleaning windshields and inspecting oil levels for rush customers, bundled in her thin jacket, and a tattered work uniform provided meager protection. Shelter from the cold, but she was unable to contemplate that. Tonight's earnings were crucial to ensure another month's rent is covered. Sophia, an 8-year-old girl, was seated on a plastic chair. Seats situated beneath the station's canopy. Protected from the light rain, her small hands clenched fiercely around a worn red pencil as she delicately drew in it. An aged activity book rested beside her. 2 additional pencils, both of equally short length, are blue in color, and Sophia's attention was so narrowly focused on the yellow, diligently adorning the pages with illustrations, which held profound significance for Emily. The deep thrum of a mighty engine resonated, rang out across the station, a black. The motorcycle glided effortlessly towards one of the. Keanu Reeves, clad in black, is pictured with pumps. The leather jacket and helmet were removed. With graceful gestures, he took off his helmet, pulled back to show a hint of tousled hair. Soaked by the rain, Keanu looked over the. Observing his environment, he took in. His eyes lingered on Emily for a fleeting second. I observed her skillful and efficient cleaning methods. A windshield sporting a courteous grin. For the benefit of customers notwithstanding her clear. His weariness grew, and his focus then turned to. Sophia was so absorbed in her sketching that it seemed like she were building something significant. Intrigued, Keanu cautiously approached the child and looked at her artwork. It was a straightforward yet richly described scene unfolds in a kitchen. Boiling pots and kettles, a table set for core, and a seaming counter. Keanu, holding a blank sign, shifted his weight slightly, watching the deliberate brushstrokes with attention. How Sophia's attention was concentrated on a particular, the unoccupied space within the drawing. Unfinished, he inquired, "Do you enjoy drawing?" Softly, Sophia gazed upwards for a moment, taken aback by his appearance, but acknowledged him with a nod. Longingly, I sketch out destinations I yearn to visit. Keanu's smile radiated in this setting. What was it about? Sophia paused, her gaze lingering on what she was leaving behind. With a concentrated grip, she held the red pencil as she drew. Her tiny hand, as if weighing its options, what to speak before she had a chance to reply. Emily. She emerged, dabbing her hands on her apron. Sophia, please refrain from disturbing the gentleman. She replied with a courteous smile, indicating she wasn't. Keo responded calmly, stating that it wasn't bothering him. I was in the process of discovering her artwork, and Emily expressed her desire to visit these locations. He gave him a glance that was a blend of curiosity and warning, but before she had a chance to elaborate, the car at the following pump blared its horn, saying, "Excuse me." She replied, shifting her attention to customer. Keanu paused for a brief second. Observing Emily's return to work, his gaze shifted back to Sophia and her incomplete drawing, a hint of an idea. The moment felt more overwhelming than he could completely grasp. Keanu's gaze remained fixed on the drawing. As Sophia incorporated a couple more specifics, I couldn't tell you why, but there was just something about that. A plain sheet of paper appeared to hold more than just simple pencil marks. It appeared to hold a dream, and he was poised to uncover the significance of Emily wiping the final windshield of the evening. Yet progress had become noticeably less brisk. The heaviness of her pregnancy weighed upon her. Pain radiated through her lower back in pulsating waves, emitting a glow with each stride she attempted to conceal her unease. Yet every time she leaned down or extended to reach her expression, visible through the center of the glass, revealed her true feelings. Her weariness settling in as the final customer departed. As she drove off, she rested lightly against one of the pumps, striving to alleviate with pressure bearing down on her back. Emily inhaled deeply. She inhaled deeply, closing her eyes for a moment to savor the sensation. Looking back, it wasn't merely the physical aspect that brought tears. It was a weight of emotion, a burden of pain, the weariness that builds from nights such as these. From afar, Keanu observed but refrained from. He watched her right away as she approached. She smoothed her uniform and plastered on a smile. Prior to returning to the station, Sophia, seated in her well-used chair, countered. The plastic chair lifted its gaze, looked through her sketchbook, and observed her mother's. "Are you feeling all right, Mama?" she inquired, concerned. Softly, "I'm okay, sweetheart," Emily responded. She plastered a smile on her face while seated in the chair. Alongside her daughter, Keanu observed. Emily's response was laced with a final touch of uncertainty. He took a step forward and politely said, "Excuse me," hoping not to frighten her. "Do you require? Is there anything I can help you with? You look exhausted, Emily." She gazed at him in surprise, yet her instincts, declining thanks, but I'm all right. A touch of back pain is typical for pregnancy should not be synonymous with perpetual normalcy. Kiana responded with a calm tone, her voice audible, a kindness that caused Emily to stop and reflect. She shook her head, her gaze fixed downward on the ground. There are limited options available. It was simply a part of life. Keanu accepted without pushing back. Continued nonetheless, observing her unwavering support. Her lower back as she was seated, he assumed a crouched position, maintaining a courteous amount of separation. "Is this your nightly routine, Emily?" Emily nodded. Her eyes were fixed upon the distant horizon, rather than, "He comes here twice a week, and in the mornings, I take care of office cleaning. It's my source of income." The rental payments sustained Sophia. For a brief pause, Kiana remained quiet in school, absorbing her recent revelation. "And when do you find time to rest?" he inquired gently. Emily emitted a subdued chuckle, lacking any mirth. "Honestly, I'm just too busy for that right now. Debts don't pause, and neither does having a baby. Approaching, I realize I must exert even greater effort. It had to be this way. There was no other option." Keanu uttered Emily's name in a barely audible tone, fixed her gaze upon him for the first time. Her eyes, heavy with fatigue, but for me personally, I made the decisions. Considering what led me to this point, I have no reason to complain. Complaining isn't beneficial for Sophia, as she had been attentively listening and then gently set down her petite. "Give her mother's belongings to her. You handle all the details." Mama Emily's countenance relaxed for me. However, Tears streamed down her cheeks because, "You're my everything, Soph. You're my inspiration, Keanu." Witness the interaction between the mother and child experiencing profound sympathy for Emily. He understood, was not this woman, simply bearing the burden of her pregnancy and the demands of long, tiring work hours, but also the psychological weight of guaranteeing Sophia's well-being and ensuring her a life of respect, even when circumstances suggested otherwise. Occasionally, Emily's beginnings were impossible. My voice trembled a little as I questioned if perhaps I was ensuring she'll have no regrets looking back someday, and believe that I merely engaged in combat, but never truly resided, that I withheld something from her. Sophia gently grasped something beautiful. Your hand held firmly in my mother's grasp. Everything Mama Emily beamed, but darkness fell across her gaze. Keanu. I sensed she was withholding something. He inquired further, "What about her father?" For a fleeting instant, Emily stiffened, her movements becoming still as if frozen. Upon discovering this, he departed. When Keanu learned she was pregnant again, a sense of unease settled over him. A tightness gripped his chest as he stated he desired another duty that it was. Raising a child is challenging enough on its own for Emily. Hesitated, her voice wavering slightly, so he gathered his belongings and departed from Sophia. She gazed at her mother with eyes filled with sorrow, but Emily remained silent, her grip tightening, a daughter's hand reaching out to offer solace. "And you, Kino?" inquired gently. "What did you?" Following that, Emily inhaled deeply, adjusting her posture by straightening her shoulders with a practiced strength I maintained. I was compelled to go because I had no other option. The blare of a car horn reverberated loudly. Emily cut short their conversation. She adjusted her posture and faced back. "Must excuse myself, sir. Duty is calling." Keanu remained motionless, observing her departure. He observed a subtle limp in her right leg. Her pregnancy was clearly visible in the way she carried herself. With every movement, his eyes flickered back to Sophia as she made her way back to her seat. The girl maintained her grip on the red pencil, but her mother's movements were watched with concern that appeared excessively burdensome for someone her age. "Keanu remarked that your mother is a hard worker," softly lowering herself to get nearer to Sophia. With a determined nod, tightened her grip. The crimson pencil was firmly gripped in her tiny hand. Her fingers tremble, and sometimes tears fall when Keanu experienced a sharp twinge of something as he believed I was asleep. His chest ached due to her exhaustion. Sophia hesitated and spoke softly, much like his mother would. Papa departed after learning about Sophia, the baby, incorporated coloring into her activities with A. He said there was a bit more strength behind his words than previously. Didn't wish for another person to. Keanu's silence persisted throughout the feeding. His mind reverberated with Sophia's words. Turned to Emily and realized at that moment, the instant he was compelled to take action. The challenges this woman endured and a beacon of hope remains perceptible in. Keanu couldn't help but notice Sophia's gaze. Stood beside Sophia, his thoughts swirling rapidly. Lacked all the solutions, but possessed one. One thing was undeniably clear: what he was about to do would revolutionize their lives and astonish everyone with its brilliance. The light. The drizzle chilled the air, making it feel thick and oppressive. Emily repositioned her jacket, smoothing it over her. Her shoulders trembled, a shiver coursing through her. Sophia, her body already drained, sat down. Beside her, she was writing down another, sketching, yet often lifting her gaze to look around her. "Mother," as if feeling the burden Keanu stood close by, watching intently. Peaceful exchange between a mother and he couldn't avert his gaze from his daughter. In sharp contrast to Sophia's innocence, luminosity, and Emily's ocular presence. Weariness, even though she tried to conceal it. The strain her body and mind were under. I have a question for you regarding some difficulties I'm facing, Keanu declared, breaking the silence with a composed demeanor. Emily gazed at him subtly, astonished, yet beckoned him to proceed if you were given a single opportunity. Simply one desire to try something new. What? Emily paused, her voice catching as she considered the question. Appeared straightforward, yet the solution encompassed. Overwhelming in its heaviness, she gazed downward at it. Damp earth, my mind pondering for a second. I'm certain I can't justify the expense of thinking right now. That's no longer an option. There's simply no space for. What if you're facing financial obligations? And Keanu agreed to take on the responsibility of raising the children. Comprehending her reluctance, I envision. You've made many sacrifices due to. That's not an accurate way to put it. It's more along the lines of her pausing, as if searching for. Life simply won't permit the right words. There are certain things that elude even the realm of dreams. Sophia is barely scraping by to afford rent. She lifted her gaze from her drawing and glanced at her mom. But you continue to cook, Mama. Your lasagna is simply the most delicious. Emily let out a gentle chuckle, a soft sound that echoed through the world, overshadowed by a sense of melancholy. Preparing lasagna, managing a home, and operating a restaurant are two distinct endeavors. Quite distinct things, darling, but you've been longing for a restaurant, haven't you? Kino shifted his focus, then asked. For a brief moment, she remained silent in Emily's presence. Subsequently, in a hushed tone, she responded affirmatively with a yes. I was less experienced before everything that happened. Marco Kino grasped the weight firmly in her possession. Her voice trembled as she uttered the name. Emily's husband nodded, his eyes locked on. At the time of our wedding, the horizon, they had aspirations of launching a restaurant as a partnership. He often remarked that I possessed a special talent, that my passion for food was unique, but following Sophia's birth, everything shifted, became more difficult, and upon discovering that he became pregnant once more, prompting his departure from Sophia. Clasped her mother's hand firmly, providing solace and quietude. Emily took in the comfort. He stated that it was difficult before proceeding, was unable to bear any more weight, wasn't eager to take on another obligation, and he then simply walked off, leaving Keanu feeling a tightening sensation gripped his chest as he gazed at. Sophia is currently engrossed in quiet drawing, and then at Emily, striving her hardest to persevere. He assumed a composed stance, straightening his posture, observing Emily with a solemn gaze. Perhaps you're feeling as though you don't. Do we have any options at this moment? But consider what if you received assistance, but imagine if there existed a method to. It was evident that Emily was frowning. I'm doubtful, but thank you nonetheless. I don't require charity, I'm doing well, and I'm not interested in discussing it. Regarding charity, he responded with a resolute voice. Still, I'm referring to something delicate. Chance, something that might assist your dreams. Once more, Emily shook her head decisively. Struggling to understand his statement, he questioned, why do you feel concerned? I'm not a significant figure, because all. Keanu stated that they deserve the opportunity to dream peacefully, and since you are worthy of better than. Keanu's demeanor shifted, taking on a tone of mere survival. Determined, I'll return tomorrow, Emily looked at him, uncertain of what to say. Because in my opinion, you're worthy of better. He responded, subtly indicating with a gesture that this was all there was to it. Heading towards Sophia's notebook and the surrounding station. See you again tomorrow. Keanu turned and went to get on his. Emily's motorcycle came to a halt. Lost for words, she was unsure how to react. Of his vow to come back, but what he would usher in the following day with something. It was beyond her capacity to envision. The following morning, Emily completed her stint at the petrol station and arranging her belongings behind the counter when she detected the well-known tremor of the deep rumble of the motorcycle engine. She recognized it instantly. It wasn't a chance occurrence. Sophia, standing next to her artwork, halted and turned to face the source of the noise with. Intrigued, Keanu positioned his arch. A motorcycle parked beside the same fuel pump from the previous night, before departing with a serene smile. Carrying two hefty paper bags in his hands conveyed a sense of both ease and unwavering resolve, like someone with complete understanding of what he was doing well and greeted with a good morning as Emily approached, her gaze remained fixed on him. Slightly hesitant, "You actually returned." Keanu simply responded, "I said I would." Positioned the bags upon the counter and spoke to Sophia. "Good morning, Sophia." "Good morning," Sophia replied with enthusiasm. Her gaze was immediately fixed on the bags. Intrigued by what they held, Keanu looked at Emily, seeing her, paused before speaking. "I simply want you to have a look at its contents." Unsealed the bags, exposing a couple of fresh outfits for Sophia, along with some groceries. And crowning it all, a spotless box of unused items. Sophia exclaimed in amazement at the sight of the colored pencils. Seizing the box as though it were she cried out, gripping the treasured pencils tightly. She pressed them to her chest, expressing gratitude to Mr. Emily. Observed her daughter's response, but his eyes remained fixed on the contents of the bag. She began to speak, but Keanu interrupted. Halted her. "I understand what he thought, saying softly, "but this wasn't. Charity is simply a small nudge to offer assistance." Relief washed over Emily, and she shook her head. "Struggling to hold back my feelings. I'm not sure if I can acknowledge this role Keanu took on. A rent payment envelope sits on the counter, solely for the duration of this month, and additionally, there's an extra." He presented her with something that was a tad crumpled. Emily received the flyer and scanned the printed text. Meticulously curated culinary journey for solo mothers. She looked bewildered, questioning what. "Is this a complimentary cooking course, Kino?" It elucidates professional matters, methods, and even offers assistance with the business aspects of things if you ever aim to expand this into something more substantial. Emily glanced at the flyer and then shifted her gaze back to Keanu is evidently having a hard time comprehending what's going on. "Why are you acting this way?" Keanu merely stated, "You don't even know us," offering a slight. His expression was a serious yet gentle smile. "Since you're worthy of it, and since occasionally a single act of compassion can have a transformative impact." Emily inhaled deeply, taking a long breath. Attempting to hold back her tears, "I don't." Understanding what to express is just as important as knowing when to remain silent. "Anything at all," Kiana responded, "just consider this and be aware that someone." Sophia's unwavering faith in you remains, her grip tightens. The pencils gazed at the flyer held by her. "Mama's hand, will you teach me something new?" Recipes similar to those Grandma would make. Emily turned her gaze to her daughter, and then, taking another look at the flyer for a second, something within her, a subtle change occurred. Despite its fragility, Emily clung to a glimmer of hope. Sophia caught the flyer's gaze, a fleeting glance before it moved on. Even though Keanu is still unsure, but with a newfound gleam shone in her eyes as she murmured, "Perhaps it's now the opportune moment to." Even she was unaware of what Keanu. The subsequent plan was destined to be even more. Significantly impactful months had elapsed since. That morning, Emily's culinary course had become involved with didn't merely enhance her cooking skills, opened up opportunities she hadn't previously imagined. Never pictured that every class she rekindled her love for food and, more significantly, its capacity to bring. Keanu remained true to his word, uniting people. During that period, he diligently worked in silence on something more substantial as Emily discovered he collected connections, reached out for assistance, and discovered the ideal small space in the neighborhood exuded a charming simplicity that was undeniably welcoming. The perfect location for what lay ahead on a particular morning, Emily and Sophia made their appearance. Uncertain of what lay ahead, they arrived at the location. There Keanu stood, clad in welcoming tranquility, smile, patiently awaiting by the "What is this at the building's entrance?" Emily inquired, her gaze sweeping across the storefront. Keanu moved to the side, making a sign visible. Above the doorway, gracefully inscribed lettering. Peru's asterisk launch deal. Ona Emily's face was frozen in a mask of shock. She brought her hand to her face, making a valiant effort to suppress her tears. Tears flowed silently down Sophia's cheeks. Held tightly onto her mother's arm, her gaze fixed, thrilling with anticipation. "It's your at restaurant, Mama Sophia," she exclaimed, pulling. Emily pivoted towards the door. Keanu's expression was one of utter disbelief. "Why did you do this, Keanu? What made you express yourself this way?" He smiled, despite the seriousness of his tone. "Since you're worthy of it, sincere. Your narrative and your abilities are unique and exceptional, and the world requires to witness them. And for the reason that no individual should be forced to relinquish their." They ventured into the depths of dreams as one. The restaurant's design was straightforward yet possessed all that Emily required to begin a kitchen with a functional and tidy arrangement, meticulous tables, and considerate particulars, evoking memories of her grandmother's. In Italy, Sophia sprinted toward the restaurant, niche featuring a compact table arranged for children provided with drawing materials, pencils that Kino had presented to her several months prior. Emily trailed her fingers over the surfaces, yet attempting to comprehend the. Faced with the truth of the situation, she looked to Keanu, struggling to find the appropriate words. I'm struggling to find the words to express my gratitude for this. "You owe me a thanks," he murmured softly. "Just do it. Your culinary expertise brings people together. Unite and share this compassion with others. Upon your, could the grand opening take place in a few days?" Shortly thereafter, the restaurant gained popularity at a rapid pace. A beloved meeting place in the Emily created dishes within the community that conveyed tales each drawn from her inspiration, her grandmother's culinary creations, but infused with her unique touch. The food had a uniquely inventive touch and was absolutely delicious. However, it was something else entirely that made the location truly unique. Was the passion Emily invested in every particulars concerning the opening night. Sophia, with a sense of pride, sat at a table distributing. Emily had personally created the menus, was busy making a lasagna in the kitchen. As the restaurant thrummed with chuckles filled the conversation as Keanu sat at a secluded table nestled in the corner, dedicated to observation. It all started when Emily arrived with a lasagna. At his table, she took a brief pause to sit. With a smile, "I never could have foreseen myself in this position." Her voice, brimming with thankfulness, stated. Keanu looked around. "Though you rightfully deserve to become what you've brought into existence, it is a necessity for all." Emily's gaze swept across the scene as she took in the experience. In the midst of the crowded restaurant, she came to the realization that the dream had returned, but the genuine. The change wasn't confined solely to her. The cascading impact of that singular action, her acts of kindness within her community, were solely the enticing scent of freshly made. The aroma of meals permeated the air, enveloping the small. A restaurant, enveloped in a comforting warmth, Emily meticulously plated each dish with the unwavering passion and devotion she had always possessed. Within her, the constellations of asterisk shimmered. Diana, Lachina, and asterisk were taken over by joyful customers, their smiles and laughter mingling together in sincere discussions. It had evolved into something more than merely a dining location. It was a space of link between shared narratives and of Sophia, always accompanied by her community. With colored pencils in hand, movements flowed between the tables, each bearing a menu She enjoyed discussing things as she had drawn herself, the eatery happily proclaiming that it found inspiration in her grandmother's beloved recipes. Keanu found himself at his customary spot. The table, though silent, held a distinct and undeniable presence. He watched with a pleased smile, knowing full well the change he was observing was unfolding, more profound than the lively room surrounding him. Emily walked up to him, holding a cup of. Every time you come in for coffee, you always choose that particular table. She quipped playfully, and Keanu responded with a smile. The most desirable location within the house, as far as I can perceive. Emily settled into the seat opposite. His eyes scanned the restaurant, taking in her. I never would have conceived of this happening, not even for a moment. I'd say that I don't express gratitude for what you've accomplished for Sophia and me is truly remarkable. Modified, with a slight shake of his head, Keanu expressed his disagreement. You altered everything I recently provided you with a gentle nudge, and she smiled in return, but my expression turned grave. I'll never. Don't ever overlook what you've accomplished for us, and I'll definitely make an effort to return the favor. Keanu, I affirmed, that's the utmost I could desire. Kindness operates in a cyclical manner. Now you have the opportunity to make a difference for someone. Alternatively, at precisely that instant, Sophia emerged. The table where her sketchbook resided with Mama. Behold, what I've created. Emily took flipping through a sketchbook and letting out a quiet chuckle. The restaurant's drawing is now finalized, with customers eagerly enjoying steaming dishes of food, and a big sign displayed outside that said, bold letters asterisk launch Diana. It's flawless, Emily exclaimed, taking Sophia's hand. Keanu moved into a hug, parting ways after a brief moment. Looking at the bills laid out, I believe it's time to. Emily stared at him, her expression one of surprise, as he asked her to go. My commitment to this, and to you being a part of it, will always remain. He responded, however, this location belongs to you now. Now is the time to continue your writing. Before telling Sophia his story, he offered her a kind smile. Exiting the door, Emily was left with a profound sense of. Emily's gaze followed Keanu as he walked away. She came to understand that her life had not merely altered, it became altered, and now she was prepared to be the impetus for another's. Her subsequent actions would mark the subsequent stage in her, a tale of bravery and resolve, and the immense influence of compassion, the message I intend to convey through this. The tale is both straightforward and impactful, marked by an asterisk. Never cease to dream. Dreams are the guiding light that sustains our hope, even amidst the most challenging times. Imbue us with meaning, purpose, and a cause to champion. And in the company of dreams, kindness flourishes, the bond that unites us, a silent one. Power that reshapes lives through the act of remembering. Remind ourselves that solitude is never absolute. Kindness and dreams possess the ability to transform the world, not through sweeping, immediate actions, but focusing on a single life, one deed at a time. During a period when faith in them is strong, cultivate and support them, and share them, as that's the way. We are creating a more aesthetically pleasing future for ourselves. Every single asterisk, if this narrative moved your soul, we encourage you to discover more narratives of hope and compassion and toughness. Tap the screen to continue. The vibrant warmth, waiting to be explored and uncovered.